What's up, everybody? This is Chris Surratt bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to talk about a situation that's brewing all the way around the world where the air quality is so bad that they're asking drivers not to drive around. And this is including situations that are happening near the Canadian border, as well as in Texas and, of course, in California. After that, we're going to head over to Tesla as we talk about their Cybertrucks and the major decline in the sales of the Cybertruck that's causing an issue with the insurance and keeping these vehicles insured for the road. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the case of the gentleman from the illegal immigrant, as it were, who decided he was going to get a commercial driver's license over in California and was in a fatal accident that happened over in Florida. And there's been a lot of rumblings from that incident, including I think it's Lieutenant Governor Rubio deciding that he is going to not allow these illegal immigrants to get their commercial driver's licenses anymore. All right, so let's jump straight into it. So it's just been a horrible epidemic of situations where wildfires and things of that nature have caused the lack of an ability of certain people to drive their vehicles. We did a story a couple of weeks ago how the Canadian wildfires are causing it hard for people to drive their vehicles, closer to the Canadian borders. The United States were having problems because of the Canadian wildfire. Well, they're having certain problems over in Texas as well, where they're saying that people should not go through drive-through lanes and pretty much just stop driving their cars because of the air quality. Let's check it out. So this is a Newsweek story. Millions in Texas urged to avoid drive-through lanes. Okay. Millions of Texans were advised to take steps to help reduce pollution as the National Weather Service issued an air quality alert for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The Environmental Protection Agency cautions that people most at risk from breathing air containing ozone include those with asthma, children, older adults, and people who are active outdoors. The agency says health problems caused by ozone may include coughing, difficulty breathing, and inflamed and damaged airways. Ozone. What to know? An air quality alert published by the National Weather... What is this? Alright. An air quality alert published by the National Weather Service said the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality had issued an ozone action day for the Dallas-Fort Worth area for Sunday. This is new. Atmospheric conditions are expected to be favorable for producing high levels of ozone air pollution in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on Sunday. It is advised that residents in affected areas could help prevent pollution by taking actions including ride sharing, walking, biking, avoiding drive-through lanes, and keeping vehicles properly tuned. Newsweek reached out to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for comment via email outside of standard working hours on Sunday. Additional air quality alerts span parts of Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, and Arizona on Sunday. In Colorado, air quality alerts were issued for multiple counties due to wildfire smoke from the Canadian fires. A notice for southeastern Dolores and northern Montezuma counties warned that locations near the Stoner Mesa fire, including Highway 145 and the Stoner area, were experiencing heavy smoke, which was expected to continue through Sunday morning. An alert was also issued for western Eagle and eastern Garfield counties due to smoke from the Derby fire. If smoke is thick or becomes thick in your neighborhood, you may want to remain indoors, read the alerts, which were in force until 9 a.m. Sunday at the time of writing. This is especially true for those with heart disease, respiratory illnesses, the very young, and older adults. According to Watch Duty Map, the Stoner Mesa and Derby fires, had burned 10,197 acres and 4,312 acres respectively. In Wyoming, an air quality alert impacted the Upper Green River Basin and western Wind River Mountains, including the towns of Pendale, Big Piney, Marbleton, Hoback, and Farson. They got some cool names. Smoke from the Dollar Lake wildfire continues to be observed across portions of western and central Wyoming. The smoke is limiting visibility at times, especially at higher elevations in the Wind River Mountains, said the alert. The fire was at 8,660 acres, according to Watch Duty. Wildfire smoke had prompted air quality alerts for the following locations in Idaho were in effect until Monday morning: Clearwater County, Idaho County, Latah County, Nez Perce County, the Nez Perce Reservation. Additional air quality alerts in Oregon warned of both wildfire smoke and ozone impacts in affected areas, including Lane County and the Portland metropolitan area, respectively. While an alert for the Phoenix metropolitan area in Arizona in effect through Sunday warned of potentially unhealthy concentrations of ozone. All right, so let's go ahead, back up. So, I'm not understanding the ozone thing. Now, I understand the wildfires. I understand, the problems caused by wildfires with air quality. But this says that Texas was advised to take steps to help reduce pollution as National Weather Service issued an air quality alert for Dallas-Fort as for ozone. Let me read this a little bit. An air quality alert posted by the National Weather Service said Texas Mission on environmental quality had issued an ozone action day for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay, I have to admit that I'm not privy to the effects of ozone layer on people or their ability to breathe, so I really can't touch on that. I thought this was more of a story about the wildfires and not having people drive around because of the wildfires. So it's not going to be I'm not going to be able to speak a lot on the ozone thing. I do understand and can speak to the fact that because I live in California, I deal with this fairly a lot when it comes to the fire seasons and the ash and the smoke in the air and all that type of thing. And that's pretty much what the Colorados and all those states that border Canada are dealing with. But with the situation over in Dallas-Fort Worth and ozone, and that's a new one on me. I don't know how an area gets large amounts of ozone air pollution. I mean, I think ozone comes from above us, so I would think that it would be a natural occurring thing. It's not something produced unless they're saying that the fires created the ozone problem. I really can't touch on this a lot. I'm not really privy to how ozone and ozone air pollution works, so I can't speak on that. What I can speak on is the fires, the effects of the smoke from wildfires causing it hard to breathe, causing visibility problems. And it seems like we've seen a lot more of that around the world than we've seen before. Because it's, okay, I, honest to God, did not or had not heard anything about fire seasons or wildfires before I left Indiana. I did not know about or learn about wildfires and those type of situations until I got to California and I experienced it myself. Maybe I might have seen it on TV, but just didn't pay attention because it didn't affect us over in Indiana. And it's not a big thing. We just don't have those type of wildfires. We don't deal with fire seasons. We deal with snow seasons. So I can believe that it is going to be very important if we're going to continue to see these massive wildfires, not only here in California, over in Canada, over in New York. I still don't understand if it's a situation where we're experiencing more of a knowledge of these things, and these things have been happening over the course of time for a long time, and we just weren't privy to the information. And now that all the information and knowledge about these things is widespread, and we can all visually see it on the social medias, on the TVs of the world, I'm not sure yet if it's a situation where these things are on the rise, or it's just a situation where experiencing more knowledge of them and now we have the ability to talk about them. But what I will say is that, be very careful. I understand the need to stay away from the smoke and the problems that you could have with if you're a person that has breathing problems or anything like that. You should definitely stay away from these situations. If you're an elderly person, even if you're a person in good health, you don't want to get yourself involved in these type of things that's going to cause problems with you in your health down the line. So just pretty much do your best to stay inside if you're in an area that it has these problems. And just try to stay safe. All right, let's keep going. Excuse me. So next up, we're going to talk about Tesla. And of course, we do a story about Tesla pretty regularly, almost once a week. But Tesla's sales have been plummeting. We've all seen it. We all know it to be true. And it started when Trump appointed Elon Musk to be ahead of the Doge committee. And then all of that stuff happened, and so Tesla took a major hit because of their association with Elon Musk. And then, of course, they had a whole bunch of, great plans and great goals for the sales of their Tesla Cybertrucks and their Model Ys, and that just didn't come to fruition. I mean, it was a situation where, with all of the negativity and all the negative publicity that they got from Elon Musk and Doge, the Cybertrucks just weren't selling like they were supposed to be, or what they thought they would sell like. So there's so many major amounts of these vehicles sitting on lots, sitting in areas in Detroit or wherever they're built, because they can't sell them. They're not all on the road like we thought they would, or they thought they would be. I didn't think that. I mean, I never thought that the vehicle's one that was going to be a mainstay on the roads. I didn't think that I'd see 2, 3 at a time on the road. It's not a vehicle like that. It's not what some would consider a normal vehicle that a normal person would drive around in. It's more of a luxury vehicle. It's more of a vehicle that a person with means would buy. So it's not going to be sold or bought by those regular standard people, which was what Elon Musk expected. So due to that, we've seen a lot of problems when it comes to Tesla and the Cybertrucks. And one of those problems is the lack of ability to insure them. Now, we've talked massively about the insurance companies and how it's a destructive system. And I've always said that it was a destructive system simply based on the fact that you have to have it. Car insurance, home insurance. The fact that you have to have these things proves that it's one of those things that's more about a money grab than anything else, where and the control that insurance companies have, even with the ability to cancel your policy, is just a bad way to go if you're going to have somebody be forced to have insurance. So this story is about Tesla Cybertrucks and canceling of their policies because of the lack of sales, and insurance companies is just bogus. Let's check it out.
Multiple Tesla Cybertruck owners are receiving policy cancellation notices from insurance companies. Torque News reports Hanover Insurance is terminating coverage, citing limited production volumes. The company states it cannot adequately rate and underwrite the vehicle properly. Illinois owner Tobias Troy Vall shared his cancellation letter on Facebook groups. Tesla sold only 4,306 Cybertrucks in Q2 2025, according to TCD reporting. This represents over 50% decline from 2024 production numbers, creating assessment difficulties. Insurance providers cite the truck's unique design and extraordinary repair costs as concerns. For more from MTN, follow, like, and share.
All right, so, it's just, guys, we have to understand that this is not only attack on Tesla.
If you ever speak to a police officer, they will always claim that they never target certain vehicles when they're patrolling around. But
what we're talking really about is insurance companies and pretty much what the scam insurance really is, guys. I mean, it's not the Tesla truck or owners' fault that the sales are not going well, or the idea of the vehicle is they think is not insurable. That's not what it's about. It's just about control by the insurance companies and their ability just to cancel your policy, which I don't even think they should have. How can you? It's just like the situation when they had the LA fires over, the LA fires, and then State Farm, like a week prior to the LA fires, canceled thousands of homeowners insurance. It was way too coincidental. It was way too right on point timing wise for State Farm for them not to know that the LA fires was going to happen. So they had to have some knowledge of it. That was my whole thought. There's no way that you would cancel thousands of people's State Farm home insurance weeks prior to their houses burning down. And it's just like this with most insurances and the lack of care about the person who has the insurance or what happens to the person who has the insurance. And it's just one of those things where insurance is taking an opportunity, seeing a lane that they can take to save money, to avoid paying out for certain situations, particularly your problems with your Tesla Cybertruck. Canceling your insurance, not taking that insurance on anymore. And this was an off-brand insurance company, nothing major, so it definitely didn't affect a lot of people because it wasn't a major insurance company, but it is a prelude to what other major insurance companies that have major amounts of insurers can do. They can cancel your insurance at any time. Stop giving you policies for it. Out here in California, there's a lot of insurance companies that are just refusing to give certain policies to people, specifically when it comes to their cars. So, this is just one of those things where we're really talking about the negative side of insurance when it comes to the automotive insurance, what can be covered, and how the insurance can act when you have a problem with your claim. All right, so last but not least, we're going to go back and talk about the whole situation that happened over in Florida where the illegal immigrant decided he was going to make a horrible U-turn in the middle of a highway and 3 people lost their lives. And this is blown up massively over the United States over the last couple of days. And Lieutenant Governor Rubio decided he was going to say or do certain things, or Secretary of State Rubio. I forget why I keep saying Lieutenant Governor. That's the guy that's talking in this interview. But it was the Secretary of State Rubio announced that he was going to halt working visas for foreign commercial truck drivers. Let's check that out.
The illegal alien truck driver charged in a deadly wreck is set to make his first court appearance today. He's facing vehicular homicide charges and deportation. Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins personally escorting the illegal alien from the sanctuary state of California, where he was given a commercial driver's license. He joins us now with more details. Lieutenant Governor, thank you for taking time today. Why was this individual, when people hear this horrific story, this illegal alien driver, Harjinder Singh, makes this U-turn in a, official only zone where people are coming the other direction, 70 miles an hour, 3 lives were lost. Why was this individual allowed to even obtain a commercial driver's license?
Well, thank you for having me on today. And that's the biggest question right now. 2018, he illegally crossed the border. How did somebody who failed 3 out of 16 questions on the roadside exam manage to get a CDL in any state? And he did it in 2, Washington and California. Again, this is an indictment.
In a world where everyone wears the same brands, joins the same clubs.
On Gavin Newsom, his failed policies, and his lack of leadership, and frankly, his lack of focus on American citizens and the American people. It's unacceptable.
I'm going to shoot Gavin Newsom some bail because, of course, we did a story, on Wednesday, or just a story a couple days ago where one of our favorite YouTubers, O'Shea Duke Jackson, talked about how this was happening over in Kentucky, I think. So we can't just lay this at the feet of Gavin Newsom. We have to say that just money-hungry people are doing this. This is people who are taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of the system. and, you know, making financial gains by allowing these people to get these CDLs over the table or without passing the correct test or whatever it is. But we can't just lay this at the feet of Gavin Newsom, because we know that it's happening all across the world or the United States.
This is why President Trump has a mandate from the American people to fix this problem.
And you went personally to escort him back. Why did you feel that was necessary?
Well, you know, I'm a military guy. I did 23 years in the Army, most of it as a Green Beret, and I know that leadership matters. Being up front, being there to deal with whatever comes up is important. So I don't know about you, but I didn't have a whole lot of faith that Gavin Newsom...
Yo ass, all right, cuz this is just a photo op for this dude. This dude probably trying to become governor or some bullshit, but this is just a photo op for him. So I'm not a fan of this. You know, him taking the opportunity that over, you know, 3 people losing their lives for him taking a photo op with the criminal who, you know, caused the accident. You know what I'm saying? This is not, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself, bro.
wasn't going to do something, that something wasn't going to pop up, he needs to come back here. 3 innocent lives were cut short. 3 lives lost because of failed policies in California, because somebody who shouldn't have had a CDL was here driving. And frankly, we got to let our citizens know, Floridians know, that we've got their back, we take this seriously, and we will not fail them.
Lieutenant Governor, as we're watching video of you literally physically escorting him, what was he like? Did he show remorse, and how was his English?
Well, his English was broken at best. And frankly, he showed no remorse. He was not very conversational. And ultimately,
what else would he
on the
say?
roadside, I think you heard our sheriff talk about that. He didn't show anything, just a blank slate, completely uncaring about what happened. 3 lives lost on the side of the road. Didn't even go check on them. That's heartbreaking and it's unacceptable.
And Lieutenant Governor, I just want to quickly get to where this goes next.
Well, I'll tell you, this thing goes next. We're going to keep pushing him. We're going to throw the book at him if that's how this goes. He's got 3 counts of vehicular manslaughter. That's up to 30 years itself. So he's going to do some time. And when he's done with that, then he'll get deported back to wherever he came from. But ultimately, we've got to stay aggressive. President Trump has a mandate from the American people. Florida has led on this issue. I would love to see other states step beside us, be bold, support the president's approach, like Governor Ron DeSantis has. Florida leads from the front. We have to take this seriously. That's what the American people want to see.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, thank you for the update. We will continue to follow this story. Have a good weekend.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, so he got his photo op. You know, you do what you got to do when you get a chance, I guess. You know, I ain't tripping about that. But let's read this story a little bit. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's announcement this week halting work visas for foreign commercial truck drivers drew praise from conservatives in the wake of deadly accident in Florida. Effective immediately, we are pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers, Rubio announced on X on Thursday on X. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. The move follows a deadly crash in Florida in which an illegal immigrant from India allegedly struck and killed 3 people while driving a truck. Questions still loom about how he obtained a commercial driver's license, as federal investigators say the suspect, Harjinder Singh, failed English proficiency and road sign test. Jessica Vaughn, Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies, stated the move is long overdue and that commercial truck drivers should not be brought in from other nations in the first place. All right. So, you know, it's barring this lieutenant governor who is just making this into a big old photo op. We're talking about Rubio deciding to not allow these people to get their commercial driver's licenses. So what is that going to do? It's going to some degree, you hope that it stops putting people who could cause such an accident, people who don't know the laws, who can't read the signs. It's going to stop those people from driving big old semi trucks that could cause lots of damage and kill multiple people. These are all great things. Now, let's think about what else that could do. It would, you know, to some degree remove a certain amount of commercial drivers from the roads, you know, open up opportunities for other people to get positions. And let's say that there's lots of American people who desire to be commercial truck drivers, and they're not having opportunities to get their commercial truck driver license for one reason or another. And this is going to open up the door for a certain amount of people to become, commercial truck drivers in the wake of certain people not being able to become commercial truck drivers. Now, my whole thing is that we have to stay on the concept of, we're just going to do this or stop people who are illegal from being able to do this, because I do not have any desire to stop people from making a living that live here in our country. I can't. If you're here, you have to have some ability to make a living, to feed your family, to feed your children. I'm not going to go against that whatsoever. But if you are a legal immigrant, then because of the word illegal, certain things can and will be taken from you. And obviously this commercial driver's license situation is. Now we have to get to a question on how an illegal immigrant who in this particular situation could barely read, could barely speak English, got their license. That should be the investigation. The investigation should be on how did this happen? How did this person, jump over all these tests or all these rules and still get a commercial driver's license? Because there's no doubt that he had it. There's no doubt that he had it. So you can't say he didn't have this license, but the question has to be how. Now, our last story that we spoke of from O'Shea Duke Jackson prompted us to know that some places, specifically over in Kentucky, I think it was, there are people who, just like when they pay a coyote to bring them over the border, people at the driver's licenses the DMV are collecting upwards of $200 per head to give these people these CDLs, and to not have them take the test or pass the test or do all the prerequisite things that you need to do to get this done. So we know what's happening. We know how it's happening. We know a couple of places that it is happening. We definitely know it's happening in California. We can't be surprised that it's happening in California. We can be surprised that it's happening in the Midwest, though. I am surprised that it's happening in the Midwest. So that story from O'Shea brightened my eyes up a lot to the fact that, the migrant crisis has pretty much hit all over the country. Now we know, of course, that when they were fighting the migrant crisis, they were shipping people from the Texas border over to Chicago and all these other random places. But I just didn't understand how massive that was and how massive the corruption was to help these people to do things that, really they shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be driving on our highways with a CDL and a big destructive semi if you can't read the signs. If you can't speak English, how are you getting through tolls? How are you getting instructions on how to park? It just baffles me that this happens and how it must be fairly widespread. The Kentucky story made us see that it was fairly widespread. These people were making upwards of $1,000 a day, $200 a head, giving these people CDLs so they can drive around these big old semis illegally. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop for several reasons. For the reason of these illegal people taking positions and opportunities from legal people, from the ability for these illegal people who are on the road to cause problems and death for other people who had nothing to do with what they're doing. All right, guys, I'm going to let y'all go and get up out of here. It was a quick 30 minutes as always. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Please hit me in the DMs if you have any questions and concerns. Give me some tips on how I can make the show better. Hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. And I'm your host, Chris Surratt, and this is the Car Concierge Show. And I'm out. Peace.